The ANC has rejected its Limpopo Chairperson Stanley Mathabatha's intention to step aside from his position. ANC Secretary-General Fikile Mbalula convened a meeting at Luthuli House here in Johannesburg yesterday with the NEC deployees from Limpopo to consider Matabata's decision. Earlier this week, Matabata wrote a letter to the NC's communicating his decision to step aside from his responsibilities as the provincial chairperson of Limpopo. ANC spokesperson Mahlengi Bhengu-Motsiri says Matabata's decision will be referred to the province. And helping us to further unpack this is political analyst Professor Sipho Seepe. Professor Seepe, it's always great to have you on the show with us. Welcome. So this impasse between Stanley Mathabatha and his political home, the ANC, why do you think they are not accepting of, one, his reasons and the need to step aside from his duties? Prof, is there any way in the party's constitution that actually bars members from making such a choice to vacate their duties? I think we saw a similar scene, right, when Mr. Mavuso Msimang had penned a resignation letter, subsequently being back at his role in no time.
Well, when it comes to Stanley Mathabatha, it is less of an impasse, but more a cry for help. The letter that was written has a certain element of reluctance that this says, I'm stepping aside, or as some people read, resigning because of the following things. Mm-hmm. And these things that I'm complaining about are behaviors and conduct that is not fitting with what the ANC is about. So he was actually saying, this is my cry to the leadership of the party to say, I'm willing to serve, but for as long as these matters remain unresolvable, I do not want to continue to lead a party, and I want to protect my own integrity. And in a sense, to say I want also to protect the integrity of the ANC. So this letter must be seen as more a cry for help rather than for him to say, I do not like to be in the ANC, because he also serves as a deputy minister. But most importantly, he was referring only to what was happening in the province. And it is for that reason that he felt that he had to write to the national office instead of simply sending a letter to the provincial leadership, which then would have sent a letter to the national leadership. So one must see it as more a cry for help than anything else.
Very interesting perspective there, Professor, because it seems like tensions started simmering quite a while back, in fact, after the recently held national elections. But what do you think is the issue here? Is it the fact that the resignation letter was leaked, as we've heard from some of the ANC heavyweights? Because, yes, we understand internal party protocol still needs to be respected. But judging from the tone of that letter, as you've just rightly alluded to as well, Professor, this is a man who has had, frankly, enough of trying to reason and simply just wants out, as opposed to common practice where some might not want to step aside while under a cloud of allegations or even suspicion. I'm failing to see Stanley's wrongdoing in this regard, Prof.
Yeah, you're quite correct that these are simmering tensions that have occurred. Like you correctly point out that as far back as the last elective conference of the ANC, where he was seen to be backing a different candidate. But the ANC in its wisdom, and probably the president in his wisdom, decided to say, if we are going to talk about unity, we should also accept the possibility that there are some people who are going to differ. Whether he has been consistent in that is something else. But this was one example where elections should not lead to people being uncomradely. So he was kept in that position as a chair. But when it comes to elections, we must also understand that the elections in the ANC tend to be brutal. Because for some people, it is not only about serving. It is also about positions that will come also with some bit of income. So when people get into this type of a contest, it tends to be not friendly. And he may have seen that the behavior and the conduct of some members within the province were such that they became so factional that he could not control them. We must also remember that we're talking about a party where throwing of chairs against fellow members is not uncommon. And somehow this behavior, the national office had also turned a blind eye, or the leadership of the ANC has not condemned it sufficiently. So this is why he felt that I've reached a stage where I need help. But the national office, what it has also done, it's also something proper to say the letter was written to us. There are protocols. The provincial office and the provincial structures need to be respected. And this matter should then go back. And they were encouraged to find a resolution. And if you listen to them, it is not, the resolution does not say you must keep him. It simply says, you are leaders. Find a way that as comrades, you can find each other. And then after that, only then can you send your resolution to us.
A very interesting reviews there, Professor, because COPE has since also come out slamming Matabata's insincere, what they term as insincere resignation attempt, saying that for years he was part of a corrupt system that also hurt the people of Limpopo. We're going to park it there. And speed on to this, Professor, in the interest of time. I mean, the local government elections that we're talking about, Prof. Floyd Shibambu's Maibuye was launched today. He had said he was still consulting with South Africans if they in fact did need another political party, and the reviews were pretty clear early on what that answer would be no. So how would you then predict the AMM's political future?
Well, what the new party needs to do, like all parties, is to be able to convince South Africans and the voters that they represent a vehicle that will deliver what all other parties had failed to deliver. So it is all about what proposition are you going to present? Because if you look at all black parties, they talk the same language. They also tend to address the same constituency. So the question would be, what form of credibility and believability does it bring that all other parties are not able to almost canvass and able to put across to the people? So the notion of a number of parties, more parties, is something that our democratic space allows. But ultimately, the voters will decide whether they can trust individuals. Also, you must also understand that these individuals do not come without a history. They also bring a history into them, and the voters will look at that. If you look at this person's conduct, or the people belonging to this party, have they conducted themselves in such a way that we can actually entrust them with our votes?
All right, Professor, as always, thank you so much for your input there. That is Professor Sipho Seepe. He's a political analyst weighing in on Stanley Mathabatha's furore over his resignation attempt, as well as other political developments in the country.